Well, good morning, everyone. And I hope you're excited about today. I am. I thoroughly enjoy visiting with you guys every other week. It's a highlight of my week, and I hope it's helpful for you. And I think we're gonna drive home some points that we've been making over the last few weeks. And so, what I need you to be ready to do is either make it where it's not full screen and have your Google Doc up or Word Doc or Evernote or whatever it is you use, or get the old-fashioned pen and paper out, because I'm going to ask you to write down some things or type them on your computer as we go through our time together today. All right, so be ready, please, to write some things down, type them on your computer, whatever's the best way for you to do it. You remember 2 weeks ago when we met last, I invited you on this journey for 2021, right? And I'll ask you probably in the upcoming meetings, I want you to get this down, because I want to be able to ask you, what journey have I invited you to join me on? What is that journey? Well, I'm going to remind you this time, I've invited you on this journey to impact lives by executing with excellence. Impact lives by executing with excellence. Now, we're going to add an element to that today, and we're going to get into some specifics that are going to help us as we start on this journey. And really, really, bottom line, we've already been on the journey, right? Because impacting lives is kind of like influencing lives. We don't get to choose that. We talked about that. We are going to impact lives. The question is, are we impacting lives the way that we should? Are we impacting lives the way we're capable of impacting lives? Are we impacting our own life the way that we're capable of, which then transcends into how we impact the lives of other people? So we're on this journey, and I've invited all of you to join me on this journey to impact lives by executing with excellence. Now, let's take a quick reminder. What's excellence? We can probably, you just kind of think about it. You kind of know what excellence is, but let's just look at it. How I would describe it, it's next level competence, right? You've heard the definition of a professional. They make the difficult look easy. Every one of you are professionals at sales, because sales it may not be complicated. It might be kind of simple, but it is not easy. And you make it look easy, right? How many of you've trained other people, right? And those trainees, man, they watch you and they think, wow, man, I got this, right? This piece of cake. and then they're on the phone, right? Then they're the ones that are leading the sales call, and all of a sudden it's not a piece of cake anymore, right? So you're all learning to be professionals. Some of you have been there a long time in a lot of different arenas, but especially in sales, because you make the difficult look easy. Excellence is next level competence. It's connected to character, right? We talked about this last time. We don't usually ascribe the word excellence to things that are shady or sketchy, right? Or not productive. We don't usually say, man, that guy's an excellent couch potato, right? We don't usually say that, right? It's connected with this idea of character, and it's about integrity and intent, right? Excellence, next level competence. Remember, we sell at the speed of trust, and trust is built quickly with character and competence. This is old hat, should be for all of you now, but it's important to remember excellence, because it's connected to character and competence, and that's what people trust. And they buy at the speed of trust. We sell at the speed of trust. So execution with excellence is doing the things we believe in with next level competence, with the right motives. We believe in it, we execute it with next level competence, and we execute it with the right motives. In a sales environment, part of what that means is that we're on the give, not on the take. We are providing a benefit. We are providing a service that allows that prospect to be the hero and win the day, like we talked about 2 weeks ago. right? It allows that prospect to accomplish their why, because that's why they invest. And so when we execute with excellence, we're doing the things we believe in with next level competence, and we've got the right motives. So question, what do you execute with excellence? Take a minute. Take a minute. What do you execute with excellence? What are some of the things that you do that you believe in, that you do with next level competence, and you got the right motives? We all have them. Sometimes we don't think about it. But I'm just curious, what do you do? What do you execute with excellence? Write it down. Write it down. What do you execute with excellence? Okay, now, why is this important? Somebody unmute. Why is this important? Anybody? Why is this important? Why are we talking about executing with excellence?
Well, because the what's most important shows your priorities, for one.
Okay. Yeah.
It also tells what you're good at, so that you know what your strengths are and your weaknesses.
Okay. All right. Yep. Helps us identify our strengths, our weaknesses. When we're at our best, who are we to other people? Our purpose in life is a lot of times connected to our natural talents and skills and abilities. Okay, so what's the journey that I've invited you on? Somebody remind us. To what?
Impact lives.
Impact lives. So you know why execution with excellence is important? Because it impacts lives. Because it impacts lives. Y'all remember this book I showed you last time? Y'all remember this? People don't exist to help us accomplish the mission. They are the mission. Your prospects don't exist to help you accomplish your sales goals. They are the mission. When you help when you help them fulfill their mission, you'll accomplish your sales goals. Your sales team members that make up your team, they don't exist to help your team hit the goal and the team hit the mission. They are your mission managers. If you're training new salespeople, that new sales rep, they're not there to help you be a good trainer. They are your mission. Your kids are not there to help you be a better parent. They are your mission. Y'all remember, people around us, they don't exist to help us accomplish what we're after. They are the mission. When we learn to execute with excellence, we impact lives, and that's important because other people are the mission, not us. When we get out of the selfish mode, you know, Brandon, we were talking about Brandon. Brandon's got I think 4 month. Is that right, Brandon? You just tell me. 4 month, right?
Yeah, 4 month. Correct.
4-month-old little boy, man. When we're 4 months old, we are 100% selfish. True?
Yeah.
We are 100% selfish. The problem is when we're 14, we're still 100% selfish. When we're 40, we're 100% selfish. When we're 24, we're 100%. That's the problem. Not a problem for a 4-month-old to be 100% selfish. But even if we're allowed to be 100% selfish by the time we're 4, that's a problem. Because we don't exist for our own purposes. We exist to benefit the lives of other people, to impact lives. So we execute with excellence because it impacts lives. Now, there's a specific execution plan. When done with purpose, with excellence, that impacts lives. So we're going to look at a specific execution plan when done on purpose, with excellence. It's going to impact lives for the better, because that's what we're about. That's the journey I'm calling you on, right? Okay, so remember we talked about this. See, we're all living this life, right? But there's this other life over here that we're capable of. There's this other life over here that we might want to live. And one of the biggest questions we face all the time is how do we move from where we are to what we're really capable of, or what we want to be? How do we make that transition? And that is an important discussion. And it's critical that we learn the steps to move from the life we're living to the life that we're capable of. Yes, because it's going to improve our life, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to show you another element, another perception on this. And that is, right now, we're impacting a certain group of lives, but what are the lives that we're capable of impacting? How do we move from the life that we're living and the lives that we're impacting right now, and how do we become the person that we're capable of being and living the life that we're capable of living? Because when we do that, we're going to impact a much broader scope of people. We're going to impact more lives. So how do we do that? Well, we execute on purpose with excellence, and it starts to move us that way. Remember what Brian Moran said. The number one factor holding us back from living the life we're capable of, from impacting the lives that we're really capable of impacting, from having the kind of impact that we're really capable of, what's the number one factor holding us back? Remember this? It's not that we don't know enough. It's not that we're not smart enough. It's not that we don't have the right strategy or idea. Could these things improve and get better? Yes, because better never stops. But fundamentally, it's not because we don't have any of this. The number one thing holding us back is execution. It's the single greatest market differentiator. So y'all listen, I want you to lock in on this. Execution on purpose with excellence. It impacts lives for the better. Ours, yes. We begin to move from the life we're living into the life we're capable of living. But it also affects all of those around us. And we grow our influence. We grow our impact. All of you managers and leaders that we've been meeting for a year now, a little over. And for a long time, we talked about leadership qualities. Remember those? And every time we talked about it, I said, why are we talking about these? Because as we develop these leadership qualities, as we develop character, as we develop commitment, as we develop discerning, I'm struggling with how to say the word. Discernment. As we develop discernment, as we develop discipline, as we develop personal responsibility, as we develop vision, as we develop listening, et cetera, as we become better at listening, as we become better at commitment and discipline and personal responsibility and character and all those great words, as we become better at them, not only do our lives get better, but the lives of everybody who depend upon us get better. In other words, when we execute the qualities on purpose with excellence, it impacts our lives for the better. Ours, yes, but all the people around us. So, y'all, that's why we're talking about this, because that's the journey that I'm calling us to. Now, this 12-week year, I'm going to give you this overview, and we're going to get into some specifics. This is a little bit of a review and then into some specifics. So it starts with a vision. Then we have these 12-week goals within our priorities. Then we ask this question, what if? Then we develop this plan. Then we have this weekly routine where we plan the week. We execute the lead indicators. We score it. We measure it. And then we report on it in our WOMs. And then the overarching thing is that we have to own it all, commit to it, and then be great in the moment. Now we're gonna dig into this, but that's the overview of it. All right. So now vision. Think about this, y'all. Why is vision important? Because if we're going to change, and guess what? There's not any one of us that doesn't have room to change and to grow. and to embrace it. How do you do that? One of the reasons you develop that leadership quality of security. It allows you to embrace change more easily. But without a compelling vision, you'll discover there's no reason to go through the pain of change. We have to have a vision for the future that gives us hope in the present, that allows us to push and fight and claw and persist our way through the change to accomplish that which is important. So what is your vision? You know, Simon Sinek in Good to Great, he says his vision is to inspire people to do what inspires them, so that together each of us can change our world. You know mine, to encourage others to find and fulfill their calling so they'll influence well and bear healthy fruit. Why am I calling you? Why am I asking you to join me on this journey to impact lives? Because we want to influence well and bear healthy fruit. Vision typically has got to be, it's bigger than anything that can be accomplished in 12 weeks, right? And here's the big one. You see that last part? It spans priorities. Vision is bigger than our priorities. Vision is bigger than the priorities. Your vision spans the priority. The priorities line themselves up under the vision. All right, so here you go. Start typing, will you? Start writing. What sentence would you write about your vision? Go ahead. You're not going to get it right. You're not going to like it completely, but it's a start. Write it down. I'm curious, does anybody already have one written? And if you do and you're willing to, unmute and share it with us. Anybody? Okay. Okay, so this tells me we're hitting on something, y'all. We need this. We need this. Now, all right, so if you're writing action items down, the first one is, what's your vision? Let's work on this. I'd love for you to share it with me. When you get it, if you'll email it to me or text it to me, I'd love to see it. I may ask you if it's okay to share it. I'd like to share it. But y'all, we got to get this down. This is the starting point. What's the vision for you? All right, now, once we have that, it spans the priorities. So what are your priorities? All right, now y'all remember my canned spinach speech, right? I'm about to show you my priorities. Some of my priorities may be like canned spinach to you, and if they are, that's okay, because they're not your priorities, they're mine. Your priorities, some of yours might look like canned spinach to me, but that's okay too, because yours are yours and mine are mine. So here are my priorities. You've seen them before. Actually, I've added one. My wife and I added one. So faith, family, fitness, finances, and friends. In all candor, we added friends at the end of this year during COVID. We took friends for granted before COVID. I don't know about you, but we did. We didn't know we were doing it. But the longer we've been away from them, the less interaction we've had with them, the more we've realized that friends are really a priority. Family, yes, but community with other people other than work and other than family, that's a priority. And so you think about the vision that I told you just a minute ago, right? My vision to encourage others to find and fulfill their calling so they'll influence well and bear healthy fruit. Well, guess what? With my family, with my two sons, that's been my vision. That's been my priority with my two sons, is to help them grow up into men who influence well, who bear healthy fruit. In fitness, my vision fits into fitness. It fits into my work. Finances is about work. Y'all, I like alliteration, so I got all F's up there, but finances is really about my career. And then friends. So what are your priorities? Write them down, please. Write them down. Y'all, without priorities, here's what happens to us. Without priorities, especially if you're kind of a focused, driven person, you can get a lot of stuff done and it doesn't mean jack because it's outside your priorities. That's one thing that's one thing that's been hard for me because I'm a task guy, right? I'm linear sequential in my thought process. I write stuff down, I check it off. If I do stuff that's not on my list, I write it on the list so I can check it off. I'm not as bad at that as I used to be. But y'all, I can put a lot of stuff down, but if I don't think about where does it fall in my priorities, I can run myself ragged. I can do that even with the priorities. But y'all, it's essential to write down the priorities. So you got your vision, then you got your priorities, and your priorities line up in the vision. In working within the priorities, you're actually fulfilling the vision, because I want to encourage my friends to find and fulfill their calling. I want to encourage people like you and others I work with to find and fulfill their calling and influence well and bear healthy fruit. I want to model that in health-wise and with my family, etc. So you get the point. Identify your priorities, and your vision spans them, because as we focus in on the priorities and do this next thing, we have goals within each of the priorities. Hey, y'all, be careful to mute. Make sure you're muted, okay? We ought to have at least one annual goal in each priority, right? In each priority, we ought to have at least one annual goal, and then we have a 12-week goal that we set that helps us move toward the annual goal in 12-week increments, right? So we got this annual goal, and then but we break it down into 12-week increments, right? 2021, 12 weeks at a time. That's what we're talking about. We want to accomplish some big things in 2021, but we're going to do it 12 weeks at a time, because we want to focus in during those specific 12 weeks. We're going to get to that in just a minute. So here's what I want to ask you to do. Let's look at fitness and finances. Everybody ought to have a health goal. Everybody. That's really what that is. It's health, fitness. Because of the F's, right? The alliteration. But really, it's about health. And you know what? Really, seriously, all of us ought to have a health goal. Because what do we know? We take health for granted. Pam and I, a long time ago, some of you have heard me say this, we figured out by watching our parents age and their health, we figured out that the very best gift, or one of the best gifts we can give our two sons, is good health. And so we became a lot more intentional about good health. So everybody ought to have a health goal, because when we lose the health, we lose so much more, right? So everybody ought to have a health goal, and everybody ought to have a work goal, finances goal, career goal. That's what that is. So here's something I want to ask you to do. You may know, like in fitness, you may know, you know what? By the end of the year, I want to run a half marathon. So I want to run a 5K by the end of the first quarter. I want to run a 10K, then be ready for the half marathon by the end of the year, that type thing. Or you may be, you know what? My goal is to not be on any medication by the end of the year. So I'm going to do this and this and this so that I can knock it down to a quarter of what I've been taking at the end of the first quarter, and then a half, and then another quarter off, and then by the end of the year I'm off that medication. That might be a health goal, right? Get rid of the meds that I'm having to take. If that's healthy for you. It may not be healthy for you, and obviously wouldn't want to do that, but you get my point. Have a fitness goal. Maybe it's a weight. Maybe I want to weigh X by a certain time. And so I want to lose X amount of weight in the first quarter. You get the picture. Think about work. What is it that you want to accomplish at work? It may be a personal goal of selling so much during the year. It may be a team goal that you want your team to accomplish X by the end of the year. And so if I'm going to put it in 12-week increments, that means in the first 12 weeks, we got to do this. What is that? Write that down, please. Just focus on those two. Now whatever other goals you got whatever other priorities you've got, you want to set at least one goal in each priority. All right. Now, what's the next step? So we've talked about the vision. We've talked about priorities. Now we got this goal, and we got it set up in a 12-week increments. Now, what's the next step? We've talked about this. What do we always ask? That we set a goal, and what's the first thing we ask after we set the goal? How are we going to get there, right? But hopefully you all remember that's not the next question. The next question is, what if we get there? What if? Y'all remember this? What if I achieve the goal? What will this goal do for me? If I'm able to get off all my meds, what's that going to do for health and be healthy, right? What if I didn't have to take any more medication? What if I weighed 25 pounds less? What would that do for me? What if I was able to run a half marathon by the end? Well, how would I feel about myself? How would my life be different? And by the way, I'll tell you this about like running a half marathon and things like that. It's not in the accomplishment of running the half marathon that your life changes. It's in the daily, weekly lifestyle that you implement. It's in the practicing that changes your life. It's in the daily, in the weekly, not in the accomplishment of it. And so, but we think about what if. How's our life going to be different? How's my family's life going to be? What's going to be different about our family life and our financial situation if I hit this goal in sales and I start doing it this quarter? What's going to be? What if, y'all? You got to have that, because what if gives you permission to entertain the possibility and to begin to connect with the benefits. In other words, you start your mind, and it's weird. And I don't understand all the psychology about it, but I do know it's true that our mind it starts to creatively think. We get these creative ideas that we would have never even thought about how to accomplish that goal once we've set that goal, and once we've written it down, and once we've thought about, what if we really able to do that? What if we really are able to do that? We automatically begin to shift from impossible to possible thinking. So write down your 1 to 2 what ifs for your goal. You remember last time I told you a story about earning that champion ring there? And I told my 2 sons if I hit my weekly sales goal, I would come eat lunch with them at school. That's a what if. And it motivated the socks off me to do what I need to do every day in order to be able to accomplish the what if. So write down 1 to 2 what ifs for that fitness goal and that financial goal that you wrote down. What if you hit that fitness goal? Give yourself 1 or 2 what ifs. What's it going to do for you? How's it going to make you feel? What's it going to do for your family? What are you going to be able to do for other people? Do the same for your finance, your work goal. What if? We're going to get to this in a minute, but I'm just going to give you a spoiler. The more detailed and the more specific you are with these what ifs, the more likely you're going to accomplish the goal. Without telling my sons that I was going to take them to lunch on Friday afternoon, I would never have done some of the things I did. I never would have been able to discipline myself the way I did without telling them that I was going to come take them to lunch. Never would have happened. That's human nature. We all have that. So write down the what ifs, at least 1 or 2 of them. But the more you write down, the more specific you are, the better. All right. So we've talked about the vision. You got to have it if we're going to persist through the pain of change. We've got to have the 12-week goal within the priorities. You got the priorities, and then you've got an annual goal, and you've got the 12-week goal that helps you make progress toward the annual goal. Then we're going to ask what if, and we're going to write those things down. All right? That's the 3 steps so far. Now, what's step 4? Now we put the plan together. How are we going to accomplish that 12-week goal? All right, so be ready. Now, why do we need this? Why do we need the 12-week plan? Because every day is important in 12 weeks. Remember, yes, it's good to have the annual goal, but what we do on January 1 and where we are December 31, that's a big gap. And it's hard to sometimes reconcile in our mind. But what we do day 1 of a 12-week period of time, right? What we do day 1, we can see how it's going to drive and impact where we're going to end up just 12 short weeks later. So every day is important. We can take every day and react to it, y'all, which is easy to do, especially in uncertain times like we're in right now. And we feel like circumstances are bigger and more out of our control. So it's easy to react to the day, or we can own the day. We can proactively approach every day. And the 12-week plan, here's what it does. It gives us this proactive plan for each day. It gives us a track to run on, if you will. It's not guesswork, right? There's a lot of things that can distract us, and there's a lot of things that can look like it's the right and the good thing to do, but without the 12-week plan, that helps us know what to do every day, we get sidetracked, we get distracted, and we end up accomplishing things, but they're not within the priority, and they're not driving us toward that 12-week goal. So this 12-week plan, it gives us proactive plan, all right? It identifies the minimum actions that are critical to hit the goal. There's a lot of things we can be doing, but there's only a few things that are vital to getting us to where we want to go. They're called vital few actions. A few vital actions, they're called lead indicators. And as we accomplish the lead indicator, it drives the results. Results are always lagged. They always come behind, right? It's what we do that drives the results. And so it's the lead indicators. Well, what are those, right? It's this old 80-20 rule. 20% of our efforts drive 80% of our results. So they help us get the right things done every day. We plan carefully because everything's not a priority, and we got to keep it simple. So why do we need this 12-week plan? This is it. It's going to tell us what we need to do each day. We can focus on them, and it helps us to keep getting distracted by everything else. So how do you develop the 12-week plan? How do you develop it? Well, you start by brainstorming. Brainstorm the tactics required to accomplish the goal. So let's say that your goal is to run a half marathon. Well, brainstorm some tactics. Google training plans for half marathon. Talk to people who have done it before. Brainstorm some tactics. Your goal is to sell X during the year. So now my goal is to sell so much during this quarter. Well, who on the team's done that before? Who on the team killed it last year? Well, ask them, brainstorm, think through the tactics, team leaders. Let's get the team together, brainstorm the tactics, narrow down from the tactics. You get brainstorm up there, you get a whole bunch of stuff up there, right? On the board, you got it all up there, but then we got to narrow it down to the vital few. We got to get rid of the things that really don't matter, and we got to look at and say, okay, if I do these 4 things every day, if I do these 5 things every day, I'm going to lose 25 pounds by the end of the year. I'm going to lose 10 pounds this quarter. I'm going to be in a position to run a 5K at the end of the quarter. I'm going to sell X amount by the end of the quarter if I do these 5 things every day. That's what we're driving toward, y'all. That is the vital few. Those are the lead indicators, all right? But we have to develop them. Now, here's an example, okay? This is about work, financial. And this is a team of salespeople that I work with. And they have what's called the Thrive 5. And this is what they do. Their sales team, this is what they do every day. They do these 5 things. They plan tomorrow before leaving work today. They do end of day time blocking for the next day. They know what they're going to do the next day. And they plan it out before they stop work. Leaving work, that was pre-COVID, right? They're all working from home now too. But at the end of the day, they time block, they plan the next day. They sharpen the axe. That's the way they like to say, hey, I'm going to do one thing every day to get a little bit better. And specifically, what they're doing is they're getting better in their industry, in their sales process, and in understanding what their company does. They study case studies so that they get more, their conviction that their company is providing the absolute best service possible. Their conviction keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper because they're studying case studies to see, oh, here's how we help that company, and here's how we help that company, and here's how we help that company. And that kind of conviction and those stories help them when they're talking to prospects, right? Or they're learning to sharpen their saw, get better in their sales process. So they sharpen the axe daily. Or for the leaders, they might do one thing every other day to help them become a better leader. They might read every day, but they're doing one thing every day to sharpen the axe, get a little bit better, right? I've told this story, I think, to you guys before about the lumberjack. This young kid shows up at this place where they're in the forest and they're chopping down all these trees, and the foreman gives him a job. He shows up with his axe and says, hey, I need a job. They needed the work. They let him go to work. And the first day he felled more trees than anybody else on the team that day, Monday. And they're thinking, wow, man, we have hit the jackpot. We got a superstar here. The next day he was still at the top, but it wasn't as much as on Monday. The next day he was middle of the pack. By Friday, he was at the end of the pack. He wasn't chopping down near as many. And the foreman said, I'm gonna have to let you go. And then this wise foreman looked at him and realized, you know what? This guy is not because he hadn't been working. He's busting it. And he said, he's just wise, this foreman, right? And he said to the young man, he said, let me see your axe. And the young man handed him his axe. And the foreman looked at it and then said, when's the last time you sharpened your axe? And the young man said, well, I hadn't sharpened it all week. I've been too busy cutting trees. Some of us are too busy doing what we've been doing, and it's not working like it used to work. And we got to sharpen that axe. So that's a daily habit. So what they do, they plan tomorrow before they stop work. They sharpen their axe every day. They use power words in each meeting. We have time to get into that. We can at some point. They get proposals out within 48 hours, and they ask for business in every meeting. Now, y'all, this sales team, in 3 years, they quadrupled their sales or more. They do those 5 things every day. Here's another one. This team does 4 things every day. A little different setting, but they start early every day. They're working by 7:30 every morning. They're calling on enough prospects. They know that they want to make 8 to 10 presentations every day. They make 8 to 10 sales presentations every day. So sometimes they got to call a lot of people, and sometimes they don't have to call that many. They never know, and frankly, it doesn't matter. They're going to call however many they have to in order to make 8 to 10 presentations every day. They plan tomorrow before going home today. You see, that's similar to the other one. And they do one thing every day to get a little bit better. That's sharpen the axe. This sales team, they do those 4 things every day. They've narrowed it down that when they do those 4 things every day, they drive 80% of their sales results just by doing those 4 things every day. So what about y'all? Y'all probably know these. I don't know if you have them written down, but I would encourage you. There's 4 or 5 things that if you do them every day, if you execute on purpose with excellence, these 5 things, you're going to ride all kinds of business. You're going to hit all kinds of sales goals because you're locked in on executing on purpose the vital few actions, the vital few lead indicators that drive 80% of your results. So what are they for you? Here's one for fitness, okay? Or health, right? Here's my belief. And I'll tell you, I don't have all these. I have 2 of the 4. I'll show you an example in just a minute. But on my fitness goals, really I need to sleep a certain amount. For me, it's 6 hours. I don't require a lot of sleep. Some people require more sleep, whatever it is, 7, 8, whatever it is. But y'all, rest has a direct impact on our health. Just ask Brandon, and some of these guys got little babies, right? And then we're not getting enough rest, right? So rest has a huge impact on our health. How much water do you drink? Now I'm meddling, right? Now I've gone from helping to actually meddling now, right? How much water do you drink? What kind of eating routine do you have? Notice I don't like the word diet. I have an eating routine. Yours might be keto. It might be vegan. It might be plant-based. It might be just a balanced, moderate diet. Whatever it is, what's your eating routine? And then we got to exercise, y'all. It can be 30 minutes, 4 days a week. It could be 20 minutes, 3 days a week. Just start. You know, especially with this, it's important to just start. We would all rather start where we're not. But we can't do that. We have to start where we are. Can't do anything about what's happened in the past. The only thing we can do and impact is what lays in front of us, right? And so we just start. So you put so if a fitness goal, health goal, I would offer those to you. Really? I mean, think about it, y'all. Let's just say that you wanted to lose 20 pounds, or let's say that you wanted to maintain the weight you're at. If you do those things right there, 8 out of 10 times you're going to do it. You're going to succeed just by those 4 things. It doesn't have to be complicated, right? So there's an example. So developing the 12-week plan. So you guys, if you don't know exactly, then get together with a small group of you or something and brainstorm the tactics. What are the tactics that we need to have if we're going to hit that sales goal or the fitness goal or whatever goal you got? Narrow down the tactics to the bottom few. You get this whole brainstorm of them, narrow them down to the final few. Now, let me ask you to do something. Write down 2 to 3 right now that come to mind. Pick your financial goal. That's the easiest one for you. Take that one. Your work goal. All right. What are 2 to 3 things that you got to do every day if you're going to drive success in sales in your work? What are they? You saw those others, right? Write 2 or 3 down. Just get started. What are they? All right. So you've got your vision. You got started on that. We got our priorities identified. We've written down the what ifs. This is what's going to happen when we accomplish these goals within these priorities. We start to put this 12-week plan together, right? We got the vital few, we got the lead indicators that if we execute these lead indicators on purpose with excellence, we're going to succeed. We are going to accomplish that goal. All right, so now we got all that. Now we got this weekly routine. Now, what are we going to do every week? In the 12 weeks, what are we going to do every week to get there, right? Okay, now the weekly routine, Brian Moran calls it process control. But really what that means is that just there's some tools to make sure you're doing the right things. All right, so 3 main tools in the weekly routine of this that drives it all. We have a weekly plan, we have a scorecard, and we have ownership meetings. All right, so let me show you what those are. So what's the weekly plan? Well, we take it translates the 12-week plan into daily, weekly actions. You know those lead indicators? That's what it is. It includes the tactics from the 12-week plan that have to be done that particular week to hit your goal. All right, so those, the 5 things, the 4 things, that's what these tactics are that make up the weekly plan, and it's the cornerstone of execution on purpose. It's the things that we identified that we're going to execute on purpose with excellence, right? So that's your weekly plan. So you got those lead indicators written down. Now we got to measure it. Now, y'all, you can't have a goal without measurement. It's like you can't have a vision without execution. Otherwise, it's hallucination, right? I think it's Thomas Edison said that, right? So we can't have goals without measuring them, right? I'm kind of competitive, so I don't understand why you play a game if you don't keep score. I just don't get that, right? Why would we play if we're not going to keep score? Why would we do it if we're not going to measure it? Measurement drives the execution process. So you need a scorecard, both for, these are my lead indicators. So how many times this week did I do these 4 things, these 5 things? And what are the lag indicators? What are the lag results? What's happening as I am executing with excellence on purpose these lead indicators, right? So what's important about all this, one of the things is that we focus on completing the tactics, not the results, right? We know as salespeople, if we're focused on making this sale or making that sale or getting wigged out if we don't make that sale, we start stressing, we start pressing, and nobody likes to buy from a salesperson that's pressing. So we just have to realize sales is the law of numbers. If we do enough, if we do it correctly, good things are going to happen. If we focus on completing the tactics and we execute them on purpose with excellence, the results are going to be there. So let's focus on the tactics, not the results. It's the most accurate predictor of our success. It tells us, did I do what I said was most important this week? If I said, you know what, I got to do these 4 things to stay healthy. Well, did I do those 4 things or did I not? I have to measure that. I have to be willing to own it, right? And then here's what helps us. We have these weekly ownership meetings. They're short conference calls. They're meetings. They're held every week. And each person's on, it's like 3 people. It's hard to do them if you have more than 3 people on them. And what you do when you get on this WOM, you're on this conference call, and you say, you know what, here's my score. Here's my measure. Here's how I did on these 4 things in this goal. And here's how I did on these 5 things in this goal. And here's how I did on these 6 things in that goal, right? We tell everybody our score, how we're tracking toward the goal. It's helping me get to this level. I'm about this far into accomplishing the goal. And we share, and this is what I'm going to do next week. And the group listens and encourages. And we share tips or ideas. And it's called a WOM. Oh, the book actually calls it a weekly accountability meeting. I like calling it weekly ownership meeting. All right. And here's, I showed you this. Peer support changes everything, y'all. This isn't about being a WOM on people you report to. It's about being in a WOM with your peers. Peer support changes everything. Brian Moran in their study said it increases your success chances by 70% when you're part of a WOM every week. It might take 20 minutes, 15. It can't go longer than that. It's unproductive if it goes longer. Okay, because all you're doing is sharing those three things right there. Here's my score. Here's how I'm tracking toward the goal. Here are my plans, and you encourage each other. So you do that 3 times and you're done. So here's the weekly routine. Plan each week. You might print the plan. You got it on your computer, got it in a Google Sheet. That's how I do it. So you print it, or you got it on your computer. You have your plan for this week, and you score it. And then you participate in your WOM, and you report what happened. And you do it next week, and you do it next week, and you do it next week. And 70% of the time, if you're doing that on a WOM, you're going to hit your goal. Try it. I dare you, right? I double dog dare. Try it, right? So here's an example, y'all. And I just cut and paste. I told you I use Google Sheets. So here's one of my goals. It's my goal 5. I want to weigh 175 pounds. And y'all, I have type 2 diabetes, and so I have to watch my blood sugar, and I don't want it to be higher than 150. That's my health goal. All right. And here's how I do that. I have an eating plan. Do you see that? The tactic there, eating plan. And my goal is to stay on that plan 7 days a week. That's what that 7 is. And so every day I stay on that goal, I give myself a 1. And not every week is 7. I don't get 100% every week. But this is for week ending 116. You see that right up there? I followed my eating routine all week. And then I have this goal to train 5 days a week. Swim, cycle, spin, do core, elliptical, maybe walk. I could do any of some combination of them throughout the week. And so that shows you what I did last week. I was on the spin bike on Tuesday. I swam on Wednesday. I was on the spin bike on Thursday. I swam on Friday, and I rode my bike outside on Saturday. And so I hit 5 of 5. So I was 100% last week. Not every week's 100%, right? It doesn't have to be. Moran says if you get to 80% consistently, week after week after week, you'll get your goal. Some weeks are going to be really good, like that one. But that's just one example. I just wanted you to see an example. That's a real life example, copied and pasted, stuck it in here so you could see the example. So put, what's your goal? What's your health goal? What's your work goal? What's the other goals and your priorities that you have? You list your tactics, and then every day you do them, you give yourself a score, you mark it off, and at the end of the week, I got a score. So yesterday morning on my WOM, I told these 2 other guys that are on it with me, I said, hey, I had a pretty good week last week on my health goal. I was 100% on my eating plan, and I was 100% on my training and working out plan. And they said, fantastic, Mark, that's great. And that's about all that was said about it. Some weeks I have to tell them, you know what? I got off the wagon, man. I had some pecan pie, right? Or whatever. I mean, but it doesn't, it's not rigid, y'all. It's there to help us be specific. Execute on purpose with excellence, right? Okay, now we got to wrap up. So there's the weekly routine. Plan it, execute it, score it, and report on it. Plan it, execute on it, score it, measure it, report on it, right? We got the vision. We got our priorities. We got a goal within each of the priorities. We know the what ifs if we get there. We have the 12-week plan with the lead indicators, and now we execute them. All right. Now, we got to own it, y'all, right? Talked about this, talked about this, talked about this, right? We have to own it. Nobody can own it for you. Don't make somebody else hold you accountable. Own it. Commit to it. Y'all, it's going to be costly. but it's worth it. Be great in the moment. Focus on the commitments, not the feelings, right? We all have the ability to be great. What makes us a champion is the discipline to do the extra things, especially when we don't feel like it. So commitment, we've talked about the fork in the road, right? And we're either going to commit to it, we either choose commitment or we choose compromise. We either pay the price of discipline or we pay the price of regret. We all have talent, but that's never enough. It's attitude and effort that drive it. And so remember the what ifs, because at the at the fork in the road, what will help you choose commitment is your what ifs, right? Okay, because listen, y'all, we don't want to settle. We don't want to settle for the life we're living. We want to live the life we're capable of. We don't want to settle for the lives we're impacting. We want to impact more lives. We want to have a bigger, better, more profound impact on the lives of the people around us. It's not going to be easy, but it's worth it. So, execution on purpose with excellence. It impacts lives for the better. Ours, yes, but more importantly, all of those around us, because they're not there to help us accomplish the mission. They are the mission. So let's keep going. Join me on this journey, right? We're going to impact lives by what? Executing on purpose with excellence. Hey, make it a great week, everybody. Thanks for being on. It's a joy for me to visit with you. Take this and start writing it down and put your plans together and get on a walk. All right, ready, break. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mark.